Jaya Radha Madhava Kinda Bihari Jana Balaba Kevaladari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Balaba Kevaladari Gopi Jana Raja Kachaya. Astatar Shada Shishimad is Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Raja Kachaya. Astatar Shada Shishimad is Divine Grace, Srila Ki. Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. Premsiko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Veda Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Shri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Maya Pudam Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamun Mai Ki Lassi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vinda Ki Gora Premanandi. Oh, glorious the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to Shishi Guru and Gauranga. Krishna Kripa Das, a disciple of Satsrupa Das Goswami from New York, and I was invited by His Holiness Janananda Goswami to give the class on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. I tried to encourage Mandakini Mataji to give it instead, but she's very humble and she wanted to hear from me. So we're reading the 13th chapter of the Madhya Lila of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, with Lord's dancing at the Rath Yatra. And amazingly enough, there's this beautiful picture of Lord's dancing at the Rath Yatra. So tell me about that. That came since I was here last time. Where did it come from, this picture?
Revatinandana Prabhu ordered online this picture, amongst many others.
Wow. Very inspiring. I don't think I've seen it before. So, Janananda Goswami left off at the elaborate purport describing the difference between the Pariki and Svakiya rasa. And so we're going to start after that and read until we get to one with a purport and say something about that. And so we'll read the ones beginning with 25. So if you're looking along in your book, it's Madhya Lila 13:25. And I thought I would engage our resident Bengali speaker. You say the Bengali and I'll say the English. Is it okay? I'll give you the book. I want you to say the Bengali and I'll say the English, okay? First we have to do the invocation. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Try. So you read, it's up there. That makes it easy, huh? Got it. This is a very handy device. Every temple should have one.
Sukshma Sheta Balupate Pulinera Shama Dui Dike Tota Shab Jenu Vrindavana.
The fine white sand that spread all over the path resembled the bank of the Yamuna, and the small gardens on the both sides looked just like those in Vrindavan.
Rathe Chade Jagannath Karilagaman Dui Parshe Deki Chale Ananditaman.
As Lord Jagannath rode in his car and saw the beauty on both sides, his mind was filled with pleasure.
Gaur Shabarat Tane Kariyaya Nanda Khane Shigra Chale Rat Khane Chale Manda.
The pullers of the car were known as Godas, and they pulled with great pleasure. However, the car sometimes went very fast and sometimes very slow.
Khanisthira hoya rahe Tani leo na chale Ishara ichha chale Na chale karole.
Sometimes the car would stand still and not move, even though it was pulled very vigorously. The chariot therefore moved by the will of the Lord, not by the strength of any ordinary person.
Tabe Mahaprabhu Shabalaya Bhaktagana Shahaste Parailo Shabe Malla Chandana.
As the car stood still, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gathered all his devotees and with his own hand decorated them with flower garlands and sandalwood pulp.
Paramananda Puriyar. I don't see. Yes. Paramananda Puriyar Bharati Brahmananda Srihaste Chandana Paya Barilo Ananda.
Ramananda Puri and Ramananda Bharati were both personally given garlands and sandalwood pulp from the very hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This increased their transcendental pleasure. So I want to say one thing before we continue. This idea of the car sometimes going fast and slow is part of the Jagannath Leela. So we don't have to worry if it stops in the middle of the parade or goes faster or slower. There's a Leela in Raghunath, in the Rath Yatra as it's performed in ISKCON. I should chant the mantras to my guru and the acharyas first. Om Gyantam Arandasya Dinanjana Shlakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastai Gurule Shmite Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvasesha Srinivani Paspata Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Vedgadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpatibhyascha Kripa Sindhumevacha Pachitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. So the first Rath Yatra in ISKCON was in 1967 in San Francisco, and one thing about it that was very special is that was the year that Lord Jagannath appeared in the Hare Krishna movement. It actually, I was reading that book by, I believe it is in the big biography of Bhakti Siddhanta by Bhakti Vikas Swami. Bhakti Siddhanta was thinking, as far as deity worship in the West is concerned, that it would be good if they worship Jagannath because he's famous with Patita Pavana. And lo and behold, Malaji found in some import store this tiny figurine of Jagannath and just thought he looked really cool, and not knowing anything about him, and brought him to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada offered obeisances to him and explained, this is Jagannath, this is Krishna, and asked if there was a white one and a yellow one, and so there was. And then because Shyamasundar was a carpenter, he engaged Shyamasundar in making large versions of these Jagannath. So Jagannath appeared in the spring of 1967, and that very year that he appeared, Prabhupada decided at Rath Yatra time, at the traditional date of Rath Yatra in Puri, to have a Rath Yatra in San Francisco. So they had this Rath Yatra, and he saw basically one of those trucks that with the back open, and thought, hey, we could put the deities on the back of the truck. So that's how they did it in the beginning. They had this truck, but so that the truck was going up a hill. It's a little hilly in San Francisco, and it was going up a hill, and it lost power and rolled back a little bit, and it took a little while to get it going. And when Prabhupada heard, he couldn't go because he wasn't well. When they described the festival to him, and said, "Oh yeah," and the truck stopped, and it took some time to get it to going again. And Prabhupada smiled and said, "That's part of the Jagannath Leela. Sometimes it gets stopped for some time and it starts." Of course, it stopped when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared. It stopped for 3 days in front of his house, and until he came out and touched the feet of Jagannath. So Jagannath moves at his own speed, no matter how hard we pull. So don't be in anxiety. Let's see. We'll continue. Want to read 31?
Yes. Advaita Charjayar Prabhu Nityananda Srihasta Samsparshadwar Vido Ananda.
Similarly, when Advaita Acharya Nityananda Prabhu felt the touch of the transcendental hand of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were very pleased.
Kirtaniya Gana Dila Manda Chandana Sharpa Srivasha Jaha Khadui Jana.
Just to mention about that we have our senses, our 5 senses, sight and hearing and touch and taste and smell. So they're material sense objects and they're spiritual sense objects. And our soul is derives transcendental pleasure from contacting spiritual sense objects. So here, the transcendental hand touched the bodies of Advaita Acharya and Nityananda, so they felt transcendental bliss being touched by Lord Chaitanya. And the Acharyas are very fortunate because they can have transcendental bliss every day by touching the body of the deities. So we and this festival is an opportunity to give everyone the transcendental vision of Jagannath. People go through their lives only looking at material things, and this may be the first time. Hare Krishna, welcome Rajadana. Om Shanti. Have a seat. There's a chair there, you can want to sit in the chair. Yeah? So we're reading the Lord's dancing at the Ratha Yatra. So this festival actually gives the conditioned souls who are experiencing only material sense objects the opportunity to experience a completely different category of sensual experience, seeing the vision of Jagannath and hearing the kirtan of the holy name. These are transcendental sense perceptions that give pleasure to our transcendental self. We may not realize that in our covered stage, that is the fact. And also people have an opportunity to get prasadam. Prasadam is not ordinary food, it's completely different. There's one Swami who told me a very nice story about the power of prasadam. His name is Dira Shanta Maharaj. Yeah, so he was one of those people who came to the Sunday feast only for the prasadam. He thought the kirtan was too raucous, it was too loud, and he didn't want to have anything to do with it. And he wasn't a spiritual seeker, he was just some guy in the UK who liked good food. So he would come for the Sunday feast every week, and the temple president said, "You seem to like the prasadam, maybe you should come to lunch too." So then he started coming to lunch, And then one day he was in his apartment in the evening and he found himself chanting Hare Krishna without any desire to chant Hare Krishna. So the next time he went back for prasadam, he inquired what was going on. And they told him, "Oh, this food you've been eating, it's not ordinary food, it's non-different from Krishna himself, and now Krishna is manifest on your tongue." So this prasadam is completely spiritual. It's a whole different category of taste. It's transcendental taste. And like some people remember the halava that they ate 40 years ago. Like who remembers something they ate 40 years ago, But the halava is offered to Krishna is like a different experience. Our whole life we're eating different kinds of mundane food with no transcendental assets. And then we taste some prasadam. It's literally from out of this world. So this festival is giving everyone the opportunity to have transcendental sensual experiences and become purified from material contamination. Actually, a whole process of bhakti yoga is purifying our soul by engaging in acts of devotion. And we're described to be the marginal potency of the Lord. There's the spiritual energy on one side and material energy on the other side, and we're the marginal energy, and we can go either way. The word is tatashta, which is a Bengali word, right? Coming from the word tata, which is the bank. The bank of the river is called tata. We know that word because every evening we sing Kiba Jaya Jaya Hore Chand. Speaking of Lord Chaitanya. Shri Nitai Sura Ki Jai. Shri Radha Parisisvara Ki Jai. So, Kiba Jaya Jaya Hore Chand Artika Shobha Janavi Tata Vane Shagamana Lova. So this arati ceremony is on the bank of the Janavi, which is the Ganges River. So the bank is sometimes submerged in water and sometimes it's above the water, so it's in a marginal position. So we're in a marginal position. We're either under the protection of the spiritual energy or we're under the protection of the material energy. But the vast majority of people in Paris who are going to see the Ratha Yatra, they've only been experiencing the material energy their whole life. So with this Ratha Yatra festival, we're giving them the opportunity to encounter the spiritual energy, acts of devotion to Krishna, and become purified, and to actually realize that activities under the spiritual energy are superior. Sometimes people think, you see us playing some instruments and singing and dancing, and they can relate to it because they play instruments and they hang out with their friends and they sing and dance, but it's actually not just ordinary singing and dancing, it's a completely transcendental experience. And as we become more elevated, we realize that these transcendental experiences are in a different category and that they actually give us a superior pleasure. And the whole festival is to give people an opportunity. People who have only had one choice, Maya, their whole life, to give them the choice of Krishna. And the more fortunate ones will perceive that it's a superior taste. Prasadam is superior than ordinary food, and the chanting and dancing is superior to the chanting and dancing in the club. I was proofreading one book, and the author was quoting Prabhupada as saying you can chant and dance in the temple and go back to Godhead, or you can chant and dance in the club and go to hell. So we're giving the opportunity to all these people who generally chant and dance in the club and prepare their journey to hell to chant and dance for Lord Jagannath and prepare their journey back to God. So, continuing, let's say I didn't read the translation to the last one. The Lord also gave garlands and sandalwood pulp to the performers of Sankirtan. The two chief performers were Swarup Damodar and Srivas Thakur.
Chari Sampradaya Hoila, Charbishodayan, Dui Maradongika, Nilo Ashtajan.
There were altogether 4 parties of kirtan performers, comprising 24 chanters. In each party there were also 2 mridanga players, making an additional 8 persons.
Tabe Mahaprabhu mane bichara kariya, Chari Sampradaya Dila, Narayana Bhattiya.
When the 4 parties were formed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some consideration, divided the chanters.
Nityananda Dita Haridas Bakrishare, Chari Jane Agdalilo, Nityakaribare.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur, and Vakresha Pandit to dance in each of the 4 respective parties. So you could say something about that. So, dancing is very important. We used to summarize Krishna consciousness as chanting, dancing, feasting, and philosophy. There's a movement to decrease the dancing by having kirtans where people just sit around. But that wasn't. Lord Chaitanya was very into dancing. He considered the dancing so important he would appoint people to dance. Prabhupada didn't personally appoint people to dance, as far as I know. Do you recall Prabhupada appointing it? But he liked people dancing, and he would praise people. One time, in Satsvarup Maharaj writes probably in the Lilamrita, that there was one person who was dancing, I think with his arms upraised, and Satsvarup Maharaj was thinking, this guy's just showing off, he wasn't impressed, But Srila Prabhupada looked at him and said, you're dancing like Lord Chaitanya. He praised his dancing because it was like, So he liked people to dance, and I was one of those people who didn't dance. And then after the Guru Puja to Prabhupada in Philadelphia in the middle 80s, my guru said, you should dance more in the kirtan. And I didn't feel like dancing in the kirtan, so I was wondering how I was going to be able to execute this order. So I inquired from the senior devotees, which is always auspicious. And one of them said, well, Prabhupada said if you just like force yourself to just move your feet back and forth, you actually acquire a taste for dancing just by forcing yourself. And I knew it was true because Prabhupada said it, but it still felt artificial for me. So I continued to inquire. And then one nice devotee named Vishnu Gada, Prabhu, do you know Vishnu Gada? He's an American devotee, so probably, he was the head cook in 55th Street when I joined. And he would take the bhaktas on Harinam at lunchtime on 5th Avenue and 6th Avenue, right in the middle of New York. He has a very beautiful voice, a very loud voice, and a lot of faith in Prabhupada and the holy name. A very wonderful singer. So this Vishnu Gada said, have you read the Nectar of Devotion? And I said, yes. And then he said, what's it say about dancing? Well, it says many things about dancing, but I said, well, it's one of the ecstatic symptoms. He said, yes, if you completely absorb your mind in hearing the holy name, and you completely absorb your mind in chanting the holy name, you'll automatically feel like dancing. And I said, yeah, I want to automatically feel like dancing. So I tried doing that, and I automatically felt like dancing. But because my guru told me to dance more in the kirtan, I always dance in the kirtan because these instructions are eternal that you get from your guru, and you also can make benefit by doing it. So I try to start dancing at the beginning of the kirtan and go to the whole kirtan. It's very ecstatic dancing. In New York, we had a lot of rain during the Rath Yatra. Fortunately, it wasn't heavy rain; it was a light rain. So, and different shops have awnings that protect you from the rain. So I would go from one awning to another and dance for Lord Jagannath until he caught up with me, and then go on to the next one and stay dry. So try to dance for Lord Jagannath. It's recommended here by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And an interesting thing to me anyway is that he ordered Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur to dance. Now Advaita Acharya was 50 years older than Lord Chaitanya. He was in his 70s when Lord Chaitanya was in his 20s. So he's ordering this 70-year-old man to dance. So this shows, of course, that Advaita Acharya is very transcendental. It's not Haridas Thakur, and they have a lot of dancing energy, even at advanced age. And even in our movement, there are very old devotees who dance, including Mahavishnu Swami, who was there at the New York Rath Yatra, not only dancing himself, but encouraging other people to chant and dance. And these people, some of these people, of course, lived in Puri, but people like Advaita Acharya, they commuted all the way from Navadvip. Every Chaturmasya, they would come for the whole 4 months of the rainy season. They would walk all the way from Navadvip to Puri. So I was wondering, actually, how far is it from Navadvip to Puri? So I asked Google, and Google told me it's 112 hours to walk from Navadvip to Puri, which means if you walk 8 hours a day, it takes 14 days. A long walk. But they're very enthusiastic because they had great affection for Lord Chaitanya, and they also wanted to attend the Rath Yatra. So, continuing. Swarup Damodar was chosen as the leader of the first party and given 5 assistants to respond to his chanting.
Damodara Narayana Datta Govinda Radha Pandita Sri Govinda Ananda.
The 5 who responded to the singing of Swarup Damodar were Damodar Pandit, Narayan, Govinda Datta, Raghava Pandit, and Sri Govindananda.
Advaitare Nitya Kori Vare Agga Dilo Srivas Pradana Sampradaya Koilo.
Advaita Acharya Prabhu was ordered to dance in the first group. The Lord then formed another group with Srivas Acharya as the chief man. Report by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The first group, Swarup Damodar, Damodar Swarup, was appointed chief singer, and the responding singers were Damodar Pandit, Narayan, Govinda Datta, Raghava Pandit, and Govinda Nanda. Shri Advaita Acharya was appointed as a dancer. The next group was formed, and the chief singer was Srivas Thakur. So we can stop here, I guess. So we can learn that Lord Chaitanya was very concerned that very competent people were engaged in singing. Very highly elevated devotees. Sri Damodar, his chief assistant in his later years. And they had parties with, they had 5 people singing, I believe. Yeah, 5 people. And they had 2 mridangas in each party. And if we have the opportunity, if we have enough people, we can try to organize parties like this. So, I want to take a break and ask, do you have any thoughts about Rath Yatra that have occurred during this reading that you'd like to share with us? No? Not yet. Okay, very good. You have, yeah?
Thank you very much for this wonderful thing to share. I have a question regarding this transcendental nature. Like, definitely when I joined, I felt this something special about Prashadam and Kirtan, what I didn't feel in any other food or music. But
you're very fortunate.
Yeah.
So many people here, don't see that it's something special and different and valuable. Yeah.
But somehow after a few years in the movement, I take it for granted, and I'm alert to like taste the varieties of mundane music and the foods prepared by transcendentalists. So what would you recommend me how to?
Well, there's all kinds of things we can do. One thing, we can always pray. I'm a great advocate of prayer. Because if you're praying a lot of good things, you're already in a very good position. First of all, you're admitting the existence of God, and you're admitting that you have faith that He's hearing your prayers and that He's inclined to help you. So these are all very good things, and so we can actually pray. Actually, the Lord Chaitanya actually prays. I can remember. Let's say, when will my voice choke up and when will the hairs on my body stand and end at the recitation of your holy name? We can actually pray like that, take it seriously. We could ask to be, let me taste the ecstasy of your holy name. Because He wants us to taste the ecstasy of the holy name. And we can pray for remembrance, Please, dear Krishna, please help me to understand how these acts of devotional service are superior to all other acts, and give me the increased inclination to perform them. But for many years, since the middle 80s, I think since I went to Mayapur, I would pray before I go to sleep, please protect me from falling down, and please help me to steadily advance in your devotional service. So if you pray like that every day, there's a nice prayer, steadily advance in your devotional service.
And before that you said? And
not fall down. So many people come and go as well. So, and then of course the committing of offenses is something that causes us to lose our taste for devotional service. An interesting, Ravindra Sri Prabhu gave an interesting analysis regarding the chanting of the holy name. In the beginning, because we don't know anything about the holy name, when we chant the holy name, we're doing it innocently, so it's counting it as namabhas. So there's 3 stages: nama, parad, namabhas, and premanam. So namabhas is what's called a clearing stage, and a liberated stage. So in the beginning, because we're completely innocent, we don't know anything about the offenses, that our chant is counting it some namabas, which is a liberated state, so we feel liberation from the material existence. We feel relief. Right? When we first encounter the chanting, we feel some relief from the material condition. But once we learn what the offenses are, if we don't try to avoid them, and we fall down from namabas to namaparad, which is no longer liberated from material conditions. So we feel the material energy again with all its varieties of misery. Because some people say it's almost like Krishna gives you an introductory offer. It's like you get like you don't have to, the free trial, I guess. You don't have to pay for the first week. So he analyzed it like that. That in the beginning it's namabas, but if we don't consciously avoid the offenses, we fall down from namabas to namaparad, and therefore we lose the liberated feeling from the material. So, would you like to share something from your realization? Yes, Mandaki, Mataji.
You mentioned, Prabhu, Advaitacharya, then seeing it to an advanced stage.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, Srila Prabhupada, I can't recall which Ratha Yatra it was, but one time he danced the whole way.
In fact, Maharaj was telling us that yesterday. Actually. Yeah, it was funny because he had dysentery, he was sick in India, and then he heard about the London Rath Yatra, and so surprising everybody, he made plans to go there, and they figured he'd sit on the cart the whole time, and they got down and started dancing, and he was dancing so much that he inspired everyone else to dance, and the police were inspired to stop him from dancing. But when they told his servant, and his servant conveyed that to Prabhupada didn't take it very seriously at all. It's like, who's this mundane coughing, restricting my dancing? He just kept dancing, and everyone else kept dancing. Yeah. So it was miraculous because it was quite a long way. At least a couple hours. That parade is scheduled to be a couple hours, and they threatened to fine them 10,000 pounds if they're over time. So they're very attentive to make sure it doesn't go over. Yeah, that's so amazing. There must be videos of it, huh? Have you seen videos of it? Yeah. It's London 73, so try to look it up on YouTube, see if we can find Prabhupada dancing London 1973. Yeah. So the transcendental nature is beyond material restriction. So those are some thoughts about your question. I can continue. You have another question. You make the classes here very interesting by your questions. Thank you. Because I always run out of things to say, but I always have something to say to the questions.
And some devotees told me we can use the mundane music that carry some feelings of longing for partner or whatever, and meditate on separation of Krishna or Radha and Krishna longing for each other. Do you think it's a good thing or not?
There's a Prabhupada disciple named Narantara. Do you know Narantara? Narantara? He's another American Prabhupada. He was based in LA, and he would take the pop songs and he would write Krishna conscious lyrics for them. And there was one song called Killing Me Softly with his song. And he made that into a song of feeling of separation, And it was interesting because I was playing, somebody gave me a tape of it, and I was playing it, and some devotees came by to pick me up to go on Harinam, but I was on the phone with somebody for my Bhaktivedanta Institute work, so I couldn't just slam the phone down and go on Harinam because it would be irresponsible. And then they left without me. which I was very upset about. And I was feeling great separation from the Harinam, which is my favorite service, even back then 30 years ago. But then I was playing this song of Narantara, that he transformed into a song of separation from Krishna, killing me softly with a song, and it created so much emotions in me because I was feeling separation from the Harinam party at the same time I was playing this song. So I mean, I think it could be done. And I have a godbrother, Sankarshan, who's plays the keytar. You know what the keytar is? It's like it's a keyboard instrument, but it's shaped like a guitar, so they call it a keytar. You know? And he sings in front of the national museums in Washington D.C. because like hundreds of school children visit these museums like every day, especially in April and other times of year. So he sings traditional Hare Krishna kirtan some of the time, and then he sings some pop tunes with Hare Krishna mantra in it. And then he sings some pop tunes with Krishna's lyrics to them, so to get variety. So I think it could be done. You just have to monitor whether you're becoming more materialistic as a result of it. You know, because they talk about the bridge preaching. You know, you have to make sure that people are going in the right way across the bridge. We joke about the bridge preaching in New York because we do Harinam across the Brooklyn Bridge. We say, that's the best bridge preaching. So we can read some more until we reach the magic time of 9 o'clock. After we say goodbye to their lordships. Shri Radha Parisisvara Mandir. Continuing, would you like to read the Bengali for 39?
Very complicated.
39?
39.
Yeah, turn. Up to now.
39, no?
Yeah.
Gangadas Haridas Sriman Shubhananda Sri Rama Pandita Taha Nachinitananda.
The 5 singers who responded to the singing of Sridas Thakur were Gangadas Haridas Sriman Shubhananda and Sriram Pandit. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was appointed as a dancer, and he was such a good dancer that it said that Lord Chaitanya would personally appear wherever Lord Nityananda was dancing. That's amazing. We wish we could do that. It's a challenge to see if you can dance so nicely that Lord Chaitanya will appear to see you.
Vasudeva Gopinatha Murari Jahadai Mukunda Pradana Puido Yara Sampradaya.
Another group was formed consisting of Vasudeva, Gopinath, and Murari. All these were responsive singers, and Mukunda was chief singer.
Srikanta Vallabha Senahar Dvijan Haridas Thakur Taha Tareganatan.
Another 2 persons, Srikant and Ballabha Sen, joined as responsive singers. In this group, the senior Haridas Thakur was the dancer. Purport. In the 3rd group, Mukunda was appointed the chief singer. This party was composed of Vasudeva, Gopinath Murari, Srikanta, Ballabha Sen, senior Haridas Thakur. The senior Haridas Thakur was the dancer. So there's many parts of the Chaitanya Charitamrita which are lists of names. Jai Shri Srimati Sachi Sutta, Shri Radha Parisisvara Mandir. And we may think, oh, it's boring to sing all these names, but actually, just hearing the names of Vaishnavas is very purifying. And enhance our devotion just by hearing the names. 42.
Govinda Gosha Pradhan Kular Sampradaya Haridas Vishnudas Gopachanagai.
Because when we recite the names, Krishna is hearing the names and he's reminded of all these great devotees and he's feeling great ecstasy. The Lord formed another group, appointing Govinda Ghosh as the leader. In this group, the younger Haridas, Vishnudas, and Raghava were the responding singers.
Madhava Vasudeva Gosha Duishahodar Nitya Karantaha Pandita Bhakishar.
The two brothers named Madhava Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh also joined this group as responsive singers. Krishna Pandit was the dancer, and he was famous as a dancer, and it's said that he could dance for 72 hours, which is 3 days straight. And Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with his dancing. It was the Sankirtan party from the village. Actually, sometimes we say Sankirtan, but it's actually Sankirtan. We have a policy of mispronouncing Sanskrit in Bengali in this movement, but it's not a policy approved by Srila Prabhupada. And he did put the pronunciation guide in the books so that people would someday learn how to pronounce it properly. And he did want the Gurukul kids to actually learn Sanskrit, which includes the proper pronunciation. Okay. Yeah, there was a Sankirtan party from the village known as Kulina Grama, and Ramananda and Satyaraja were appointed the dancers in this group. There's another party that came from Shantipur and was formed by Dvaitacharya. Chutinanda was the dancer, and the rest of the men were singers. So Chutinanda is one of the 3 sons of the Dvaitacharya who were devotees of Lord Chaitanya. He had 3 sons that didn't assimilate that important knowledge. But Chutinanda was like probably the eldest, I think the eldest of the sons, and he was following in the footsteps of his father. He was also an ecstatic dancer. 46.
Khandera sampradaya kare annatra kirtana narahari nache taha Shri Raghu Nandana.
Another party was formed by the people of Khanda. These people were singing in a different place. In that group, Narahari Prabhu and Raghunanda were dancing. So sometimes in our Rath Yatras, we have people singing in a different place. So it's not only us that do that. Apparently they had people singing in a different place. In one of the Rath Yatras, there's a group from Coventry, and they're very enthusiastic to chant, and they sing in their own place. Continuing.
Jagannath Ragachari Sampradaya Gai Dui Pashe Dui Pache Sampradaya.
4 parties chanted and danced in front of Lord Jagannath, and on either side was another party, yet another was at the rear. So we could say about this, of course they didn't have these sound systems that we have now, so one party could be heard all over the place. So that there was kirtan everywhere, they had many, many parties. And so it's interesting, we use the word sampradaya to indicate a spiritual lineage, but it's also just a group of singers. There are also 7 parties of